Hey guys, welcome to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Judea Murray. I want to get you right out to Detroit, Michigan, where we know President Donald Trump is expected to speak. Actually, it looks like he just began speaking. I do want to let you know he'll be talking more about his financial policies and economic policies. So let's listen into what he's telling the Detroit Economic Club.
You, but if we're not with you, we're going to lose. But we'll still be with you. I said, no, I'd rather have you win. Don't worry about it. So we're going to win the vote. Representatives Lisa McClain, Jack Bergman, John Molinar, Bill Heisinger, Tim Walberg, John James, and Tom Barrett. They're great people, every one of them. And as many of you remember, I came here at the height of the 2024 campaign to lay out my plan to bring jobs and factories and wealth racing back to the United States and coming back to the great state of Michigan. And just a few weeks later, the people of this state and the voters all across the country endorsed that vision in a landslide victory. We won everything. We won all 7 swing states. We won the Electoral College 312 to 226. We won the popular vote by millions and millions of. Oh, it's so nice to win the popular vote. I won the popular vote all 3 times too, but we're not going to get into that. But the first time they said I didn't win the popular vote, but I won the Electoral College. So they always said, while he didn't win, this is the way I got introduced every time. While he didn't win the popular vote, he won the Electoral College, you know. So this is the way I was introduced for 4 years. And guess what? We said, I'm going back, and we're going to win and we won the popular vote by a lot. So they can't say that crap anymore. And the thing that was most impressive, we won 86% of all counties in America, 2,700 to 525. Think of that, 2,700 to 525. And that's why when you look at the maps on Republican, Democrat, with red being Republican, as most of you know by now, I think, every once in a while you see one where they have it reversed. I said, why we do that? Well, we think it looks better. I said, look, red is Republican. Let's not try and change the voters' minds on things. Just do it that way. And the map was virtually all right. That was about the counties. That was the 2,700 to 505, 550, I think is the exact number. Most importantly, we won a historic mandate to make America great again. And that's what we're doing. We're making America great again like never before. And now, after less than 12 months in office, this is the easiest speech to make. I have great people, and all I'm doing is spewing off what the hell we've done. Even Venezuela wasn't too bad, was it, huh? But you have people, Democrats, they say, I don't know if we should have done Venezuela, I don't know. Anybody that says that hates our country, okay? That was as flawless an attack as there has ever been. And they asked us to help them. They have 50 million barrels of oil. They said, take it. It's $5 billion. And we did. We're working with the Venezuelan people and representatives, and it's amazing. But that was an amazing situation. But we did al-Baghdadi, flawless. We did Soleimani, flawless. We did the Iran nuclear attack where we wiped out their nuclear capacity, which would have been very bad. You wouldn't have peace in the Middle East, flawless. We did them all flawless. I want to keep it going that way, too. I like flawless. Think about Jimmy Carter, the great Jimmy Carter, with the helicopters crashing, the hostages all over the place. Remember that one? Think about Sleepy Joe Biden with Afghanistan. What a disaster. The most embarrassing day in the history of our country, in my opinion. Real dope. Now, after less than 12 months in office, I'm back in Michigan to report to you on the strongest and fastest economic turnaround in our country's history. It's really been historic. There's never been, we're not 12 months, we're through 11 months. We've got $18 trillion being invested in our country. The most of any country ever was 3. We're at 18. There's never been anything like this. You are so lucky I allow you into this room to even be with me. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. The fake news will say Donald Trump thinks he's hot stuff. Right now I'm feeling pretty good, though, I will say. Oh, you're so lucky to be here. Under our administration, growth is exploding, productivity is soaring, investment is booming, incomes are rising, inflation is defeated, America is respected again like never before, and other than that, we're not doing that well. Now think of all those things I just said. Every single inflation down, growth at an all-time high, Stock market every day, 48 days in a row, 48 days during the course of 11 months, we hit a new high on the stock market, all of them. 1 year ago, we were a dead country. Now we are the hottest country anywhere in the world. And that was said to me by many leaders. By almost every metric, we have quickly gone from the worst numbers on record to the best and strongest numbers, the most dynamic numbers, and an economy that is far ahead of even my optimistic. I had a very optimistic schedule, I thought. I didn't think it was, but people said it was very optimistic. Turns out to be very pessimistic by compared to what we've done. But we'll go down as the greatest in history, greatest first year in history nobody's ever had, just based on the numbers, based only on the numbers, not based on me, based only on the numbers, because, you know, you get these guys like the governor of California likes to say how well he's doing. California's doing horrendously, but he says how well. We base it on numbers. There's never been numbers like this. Through 4 long years before I took office, crooked Joe Biden and his allies in Congress inflicted the economic nightmare known as stagflation. How many times have you heard the word? We hit it with Joe. We hit everything. What a disaster. Meaning low growth and high inflation. How does that work? Not good. So you have lousy growth and high inflation. In fact, it's the lowest growth ever and the worst inflation in the history of our country. That is really tantamount to not having a good 4 years, right? In other words, Sleepy Joe and the people that ran the auto pen were a complete and total disaster for our nation. They were a disaster for our nation. Had they won the election less than 1 year ago, we would have been, as I've often said, Venezuela on steroids. Now I'm Venezuela's biggest fan. We're working with them, but they came down from a very high number to a disaster, a disaster. And we would have been Venezuela on steroids, and we're bringing Venezuela back, and we're going to be great for Venezuela, great for our country. We're taking in, as I said, millions and millions of barrels of oil, and now they're coming in initially on a daily basis, 50 million, and values of over $5 billion. That's in one day. Just think of it, the biggest ships in the world can take 1 million barrels. The biggest ships in the world take 1 million. We have 50 million barrels. We need 50 of the biggest ships in the world just to get it out. We're bringing it in to be refined. It's an incredible feeling. It's great. Winning is a good thing. We're going to work with Venezuela. We'll make that country very strong again. We'll get oil prices down even further. We have it down at about a 6-year low, 7-year low, but we're going to get it down further. Joe Biden gave us a colossal stagflation catastrophe, but my administration's rapidly and very decisively ended that. We have quickly achieved the exact opposite of stagflation. Almost no inflation and super high growth. So we have the highest growth we've ever had. Think of that. The highest growth we've ever had, and we've only been there 11 months. Think of what we can do for the rest of it.
All right, so you guys have been listening into our President Donald Trump. Again, this is happening live right now in Detroit, Michigan. The White House does say that President Trump is expected to make more stops just like this one because he'll be talking more and more about his economic policies. They know that that's what Americans want to hear. What's going to happen with my pocketbook? What's going to happen when I go to the grocery store? Tax season is among us, and so those are the things that people want to hear about. So he is expected to do stops just like this one. We know that when he first got to Detroit, his first stop was the Ford factory out in Dearborn. We saw him out there a little earlier, and then he came out here. He's expected to speak for much longer. Again, this is the head of the Detroit Economic Club, where he'll continue talking about what he believes to be his economic prowesses. And you can also hear he's talking about former President Joe Biden and some of the things he believes he did wrong. But let's get back out to our neck of the woods. Today, Democratic lawmakers addressed some concerns with Georgia ICE raids. And so we know that earlier today, Senate Minority Whip Kim Jackson, she represents Stone Mountain area here in Georgia. She held a news conference along some other members of the Democratic caucus to introduce a new bill. And that bill is supposed to make it so ICE agents have to be more clear and upfront about their identities when they're in public. Now, this is partly in response to that deadly shooting that we know about in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's also in part where people are reporting that ICE agents are are wearing face masks to cover up their face. They want people to feel more comfortable knowing that they know exactly who is talking to them, who's telling them that they have to do X, Y, and Z. This is what is happening out there. So I listened into it a little earlier on, and I want to let you guys listen into the very beginning of those statements. Again, you're going to hear from Senator Kim Jackson. She's a minority whip here in Georgia.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you all so much for joining us today. We stand here united today and every day in our universal call to speak out against injustices raining down on our neighbors in our state and throughout the country. As we gather here today, I want to pause to thank all of the advocates who have been doing the work of protecting and helping our immigrant and refugee communities for years and years, not just this week, but for decades of work that our advocates have provided to make sure that people who move to this great state are able to have an opportunity for a great, stable life. I want to invite us, before we begin with our speeches formally, to take a moment of silence. We will pause in silence to honor the lives of those who have been lost at the hands of ICE. We will pause in silence to honor those who are being detained. And we will pause in silence to honor the families and the loved ones who grieve their friends and family's absence. So please join me in a moment of silence. Amen. It's now my great privilege and honor to introduce to you Georgia's first Muslim lawmaker. Senator Sheikh Rahman is an incredible friend, has been a great ally and voice with me in the work that I do, and I'm honored to be able to stand by him and beside him as he represents his community and so many others. So with that, I turn it over to Senator Rahman.
Thank you, appreciate it. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you to my fellow senators, the Georgians standing behind us today, and to all of you for being here. I'm a State Senator Sheikh Rahman, and it's an honor to represent part of Gwinnett County, one of the most diverse counties in Georgia and home to a significant immigrant population. As you may have guessed, I was not born in this country. I still remember vividly when I first immigrated to the United States during the Iran hostage crisis in the 80s, and being called raghead and to go back home. But luckily for him, I'm still here and be proud to be your state senator. Yes. To my fellow immigrants, I understand while hostility and prejudice against us still exist, I want to offer you hope. And after more than 4 decades in this country, I have witnessed the progress we have made. And I know that progress will continue as long as we continue to stand up for one another. Over the last several months, Donald Trump has unleashed federal agents on families and communities across our country. His actions have inflamed tensions, pitted Americans against Americans, and grossly overstepped his authority. He has federalized National Guard members, pulling them away from their families and their jobs to police other Americans without the state's permissions. We have seen masked, armed federal agents rip women out of their cars, throw them into unmarked vehicles, and whisk them away in broad daylight. We have seen agents aim loaded weapons at lawful protesters. We have seen them beat, detain, deport, and even kill Americans. And why? Donald Trump claims he's simply enforcing immigration laws and removing and removing violent criminals. But the reality on the ground tells a very different story. Hardworking immigrants trying to build a life in this country.
And so, like I said there, those Democratic lawmakers were joining at the Georgia State Capitol in order to hopefully put together a bill, introduce a bill that would make it so ICE agents here, when they're doing their raids, when they're out on the streets, have to clearly identify themselves. So that's the information that we have there on that. But I also want to talk to you guys about another story. I don't know if you heard about this, but 3 inmates were killed at Washington State Prison. And that's not to be confused with Washington State, as in literally the state. That's actually here in Georgia. Now, these 3 inmates were part of a gang-related fight that broke out on a sidewalk at Washington State Prison. This all happening Sunday afternoon. We know that 3 inmates are dead, 13 have been hospitalized, and one of those victims, Jimmy Trammell, was actually set to be released this month. He served a 20-year-long sentence. Now, he was convicted in Fulton County of first-degree burglary. We know the other 2 victims include Ahmaud Hatcher, who was convicted of aggravated assault in Richmond County. He was also sentenced to 20 years. He was expected to be released February 2038, at least that was the maximum date. Then there was Teddy Jackson, convicted of aggravated assault in Bibb County. He was sentenced to 10 years. His maximum release date was July 2028, so it was also pretty soon, right around the corner. Now, the injured inmates, the other 13 that we haven't talked to you about, haven't been publicly named just yet. We also know that a guard was also injured during this. That person's name has not been released either. That facility was secured by 3 p.m. with some help from the Georgia State Patrol as well as some local deputies in the area, but it does remain on lockdown as we speak. Now, while the Georgia Department of Corrections continues to investigate this, the cause of the fight, they have not released whether anyone will face new charges. We don't know if anybody who's already in prison will be spending some more time there, but that's what we learned about at the Washington State Prison. I also want to talk to you more about this bar fight in Douglas County. We have been keeping up with this one. We learned about a shooting at a Douglas County bar, and you're taking a look there at one of the men who was involved. So this was a dispute between 2 different men at a bar, at Marlene's Bar. It escalated into a gunfight early Saturday morning, actually right around 2:45 a.m. 4 people were shot and hospitalized. We know Jack Dwayne Shanks Jr. was killed during this bar fight, and then Chauncey Deshawn, who you're taking a look at there, has been taken into custody. He's been charged with felony murder, 4 counts of aggravated assault, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. The charges go on and on. Deputies say that there were problems between those 2 gentlemen, the one who died and the one you're taking a look at there, all night long. So we're expecting to find out more information about this as that court case continues. But still up ahead, I want to talk to you a little bit about the weather forecast, because a lot of people are asking, is it going to snow in Georgia this week? So bringing up our Alex Forbes when we come back. Hey guys, welcome back to Fox 5 News Live, and Alex Forbes, welcome back to the digital desk. Good to have you up here. I missed you.
It was an eventful weekend, so I hear.
Yes,
Here.
yes, it was. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, tornado watches, flood warning. Look, it was a lot.
Well, it was a lot. It's also the time of year for it, right? We can see weather of the type that we saw over the weekend in January. Certainly saw that in Carroll County, where we had some damage, and then the flooding up across the North Georgia mountains. I know up in White County they had a decent amount of flooding in a handful of spots. Even Forsyth County saw some pictures out of there. So all of that's in the rearview mirror. We are back to regularly scheduled programming as it comes into wintertime.
Yeah,
so
tell me what that means.
Exactly. Let's get to it. All right. So temperatures this afternoon, we are in the upper 50s, pretty much area wide. Still looking for a high temperature today, right around 58. But as you can see there, changes are in store here for the end of the week. A high temperature of only 38 there for Thursday, 49 on Friday. So we are going to be doing something different, a different pattern across north and central Georgia. Our average high is 54, and we are going to be well below that. Now, the thing that everybody's been talking about, all right? Winter weather chances. I want to be very, very clear. We are not anticipating winter weather impacts in Metro Atlanta this week. So we're going to have two opportunities for maybe some snow showers up in the North Georgia mountains, but in Metro Atlanta, nada. You're going to have to take a trip up to the north, all right? So late Wednesday is going to be our first chance. Isolated snow showers in the mountains. We're going to say 6 p.m. to midnight. Light accumulation will be possible in the highest of elevations up there, and a flurry or two might make it into the North Metro. Basically, think about early November. If you saw snow stick in early November, I think you're going to have the opportunity to see it again. If you saw a flurry or a quick snow shower and no accumulation in early November, it's those same places that are going to have the chance now. So don't be surprised in the metro area to see a snowflake or two, but we're not looking for anything beyond that. Our second chance comes late Friday, and it's going to be somewhat of a similar setup across the mountains, but there will be limited moisture. So the question is, the temperatures are going to be falling. No doubt about that. Is there enough moisture in the atmosphere for that to work with? I don't think we have a really clear picture on that, given how far out we are. Of course, as we get into Wednesday and Thursday, Friday will become more clear. I think the reason why we have a degree of certainty with Wednesday is because it's closer there in the forecast models. Now, obviously, that sucks up a lot of oxygen in the room, right? Whenever you're talking about winter weather around here. I really want to emphasize, though, that these wind chills that everybody's going to experience by the time we get to Thursday are going to be bitterly cold, all right? So you don't need to see snow to be very cold outside. This is Metro Atlanta here. Look, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Thursday, we slide from 51 down to 29 with a wind chill of 18 by 6 a.m. Thursday morning. Let's take a look at some of those numbers closer across the metro area. There comes that surge of cooler air. 25 is what it'll feel like in Blairsville Wednesday at 7 p.m. Meanwhile, still 46 in Eatonton. So that shows you the disparity, right? By the time we get towards 11 p.m., wind chills already down in the low teens up on the North Metro, mid-teens here in the city, 20s down to the south, and then I think we're all going to be down into the mid to low teens by the time we get toward early Thursday morning. We could see numbers as low as 3, 2, 1, something like that here in the metro area.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, it's going to be cold, and likely, being some of the coldest air we've seen so far this year. I can't remember if it was early December or late November. We saw wind chills down in the single digits at one point, so we would be in about that territory. And then look, that's Thursday afternoon. That's the warmest we get in terms of the wind chills. Now, I emphasized earlier with Elise, right? Our actual air temperatures are going to be able to make it into the mid to upper 30s in most locations. So I'm not concerned about pipes freezing or anything like that, but it's going to feel cold no matter how you slice it. So sun for the rest of the day. Look for that cloud cover tomorrow. We will have that chance for some wintry stuff late Wednesday into Thursday up across the mountains, and then again Friday into Saturday. You might remember yesterday we were talking about a lot of uncertainty with the weekend. I think that still exists. The uncertainty still exists. However, it is becoming a little more clear that we would back off of that, if that makes sense, right? So it's not looking yesterday it was unlikely. Today it's even more unlikely, but not out of the realm of possibilities.
Goodness gracious. I feel like we are bringing bad news. I mean, well, bad news in the sense that I know there are a lot of kids hoping that they could have a chance for their snow day of the year, but no cigar.
I think, I can't tell you what the school districts would do, but I can tell you what the weather's going to do. And this looks like somewhat of a similar setup, as I mentioned, to last November. And I think what you could do, if you want to make a guess at things like that, you could look back at what certain districts did last November, and maybe we would see something similar for this event.
Okay. fingers crossed still for you guys out there. But Alex, real quick, I mean, I trust you. I know you've done your research, and that's why you're able to bring us these numbers and this information. But we have seen on social media a lot of people are talking about it happening anyway. So
yeah, the images, they're floating around out there. So look, I mean, this is going to continue. I think we're getting into an active time period, right? We're going to see system after system after system, and spots in North Georgia are going to be teased, right? Like we've got 2 right there on the 7-day forecast where some people could see snow. We're not looking for that necessarily when it gets to other people. I would point out 2 things when you see things on social media. One, if you see an image that's black and white and it's got like text very dramatically put on it and emojis slapped on it, those are typically the ones that you can just kind of toss out the window, right? I wouldn't send those to your friends. I wouldn't take what those say verbatim. Secondly, if you see somebody post something and say, this is just model run, it's not a forecast.
So the way
Look for the forecast, you know, right? They're posting that to get a reaction out of you, and if you get a prompt the reaction, then it's working for them. So yeah, we do the forecast here. I'm not sitting here going, here's what this says, here's what that says. I'm saying, here's what I think is going to happen, and there's a difference between those.
Got you. All right. Well, thank you for breaking all this down. Unfortunately, breaking my heart too when it comes to what's going to happen in the forecast ahead. But quick question for you. I know you love baseball. How do you feel about soccer?
Fair weather fan. I like going to the games. I can't tell you anything else about it.
Okay, well, thousands more people are going to be going to some games this summer. You know, we've got FIFA World Cup coming up. Atlanta has been getting ready and gearing up for it, and part of that means they're trying to spruce some things up around here. So I want to get out to our Chris Rosenthal. It's been out on the BeltLine. This is arguably Atlanta's hottest strip. Chris, what are they doing out there to prepare?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, first of all, it's a beautiful day out here on the BeltLine, beautiful weather, and quite busy, so a lot of eyes out here. And when the World Cup comes, there will be a lot of eyes and a lot of people, I'm sure, coming out to visit the BeltLine, walk these paths. And it's, if you've been out here, you know there's a lot of art out here. And it's a great sort of open air museum, an opportunity for people to really put their eyes on some of the art that Atlanta has to offer. And BeltLine is actually opening up a call for artists to contribute. And I'm here with Amina Cooper. She is with the Atlanta BeltLine. And let's go for a little walk here, Amina.
Absolutely.
And tell me a little bit about this open call that you have for artists.
Thank you so much. Yes, right now we have a call for artists and individuals that are either cultural producers or folks that make craft to join our artist registry. So that's a really quick and easy opportunity to just submit your works, your qualifications, and then when opportunities arise to create and install works on the BeltLine, we can very easily contact artists for various opportunities, and that includes, you know, folks that are DJs. If you're a visual artist, a muralist, this is open to the public and across all works and types of art.
And you know, with World Cup coming, lots of eyes here. I mean,
Absolutely.
How important is it to sort of turn this into a big display for all of our guests?
Yes. I mean, we're anticipating so many folks coming across the world to the BeltLine, and of course, this is going to be one of the spots that they come and visit. So, with that in mind, we want to make sure that people get a sense of what Atlanta is. They get a sense of our culture, our history, and we find that art is obviously one of the best ways to represent our city. So, you know, we are preparing for an influx of visitors, and we want to make sure that they are welcome to the city when they come to the BeltLine, and they get a sense of who we are through our arts and our culture.
And you know, we can walk a little bit more here. You know, 18 miles will be up and running at the time.
Yeah, we are targeting 18 miles of completion of our trail towards our goal of 22 miles of continuous trail. So looking forward to that. There'll be a huge milestone.
And this art will go all along that.
Absolutely. You know, our program was really initiated as an opportunity and a strategy to make sure that as our trail evolves and grows, that people are outside on our trails, right? So as, you know, parts of the trail become open to the public and we complete construction, the art is going to be there to welcome people to those new parts of the trail.
And then you may not be an artist, but there's review panels.
Absolutely, yes. So, you know, we're not making these decisions about which constructed in a silo or in a bubble. You know, we want to make sure that the community feels invested in the art that comes on the BeltLine, so we're opening up opportunities for community members to weigh in. So if you go to our website, you'll see an opportunity to become engaged if you're a community member, and you can become a member of one of our selection panels. So you'll see all the art that's proposed and all of the artists and craft makers that submit their work for review, and you can be a decision maker. So this is what is another way that we're trying to make sure that this is inclusive and an equitable, transparent decision-making process.
Any limit to the amount of artists you're accepting?
No, it is open to the public. We, you know, as much as in support through our funding and through the construction opportunities that we have, we'll create those opportunities and make them available.
That's really cool. So yeah, more art on the BeltLine for residents to enjoy, and also for all those visitors that we're going to be expecting coming into town over the summer.
Chris, thank you so much for giving us a live look out there on the BeltLine. It's one of my favorite parts of Atlanta. Actually, when I first moved here, and I know so many other people go through the same thing, that's one of the first places that they go to where they meet friends, where they're able to get some fresh air and get out there. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what they do this summer. Another one of my favorite parts about the BeltLine is the pianos. There are pianos littered all across the BeltLine where you can play on them, listen to other people play. So a really beautiful part of our city. So thank you so much for talking to us about what's happening out there. Now, you guys, also happening here in Georgia, if I can get back to politics real quick, we know that Georgia Republicans are gathered right now at the Georgia State Capitol. We actually have a live camera there. It looks like they're going to be talking any minute now. I want to let you know they're going to be rolling out their priorities for the year. This is a big week for the Georgia State Senate and House. They have been rolling out their plans. We know that also later this week, Governor Brian Kemp is expected to host a State of the State where we'll be talking about everything related to Georgia, and told you economics, what's happening in your pockets, usually the thing that everybody wants to hear about. So some of that will be discussed. It looks like they're taking their time before they get started, but he's just turned around. Let's go ahead and listen in and see if they've began.
Y'all ready? Everybody ready? Well, good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. I'm Larry Walker, and as of yesterday, I'm officially the President Pro Tempore of the State Senate. It's an honor of a lifetime to be selected by my colleagues to lead this august body of dedicated public servants. And the fact that my tenure begins at such a critical time for our state makes this opportunity all the more humbling. 2026 is going to be an action-packed year for Georgia politicos. I think everyone knows exactly what I'm talking about. The semi-quincentennial. Oh, you thought I was talking about the high-stakes special election going on now and all the bruising primaries and multi-million-dollar midterm for all the statewide offices. No, 2026 is our nation's semi-quincentennial. I said it twice correctly, I hope. I won't try to say it again. Yeah, July 4th will be America and Georgia's 250th birthday. Concurrent with these political campaigns that inevitably will get a lot of attention during 2026. America 250 will bring patriotic celebrations, reminding us all of what unites us as Americans, our love of country, our cherished freedoms, and our common pursuit of the American dream. There's probably no concept more associated with the United States of America than that of the American dream. So when the majority leader approached me about using this theme as we focused our majority caucus agenda and developed our caucus priorities, it made total sense. I've spent my legislative career fighting for hardworking Georgians who don't necessarily have a team of lobbyists helping them under this gold dome. From cutting red tape and fighting government bureaucracy to standing up for school bus drivers and cosmetologists, I wanted to be a voice for the everyday citizen. the thought that for too many of our friends and neighbors, our fellow Georgians, affordability concerns have them believing that their American dream may have slipped beyond their grasp, that breaks my heart. This caucus, the Georgia Senate Republicans, are going to do our part to change that by making sure that our state government is part of the solution, not the problem. I'll turn it over to the Majority Leader.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. As we enter the 2026 legislative session, obviously cost of living concerns are at the forefront of everyone's minds. Last year brought stabilization in certain areas and some improvement in others, but the absolutely terrible federal policies from the previous 4 years took some time to unwind. Starting with COVID shutdowns and supply chain disruptions, followed by massive federal spending, punishing inflation compounded year after year after year. While the Trump administration is confident that we will see economic improvement continued in the coming year, Senate Republicans that are standing with me understand that the accumulated high prices have made things very difficult for too many families in Georgia right now. Without a doubt, we faced many challenges in recent years. That's why I find inspiring that term, the American dream, as it was coined in the midst of a difficult time in American history, the Great Depression. In 1931, in his bestseller, The Epic of America, James Truslow Adams wrote of a, quote, dream of a better, richer, and happier life for all of our citizens of every rank, end quote. It is the goal of this caucus this session to tackle affordability issues and broader quality of life issues heard head on while doing our part to reignite the American dream of a better, richer, happier life for every single Georgian willing to work for it. That starts by making sure hard-working Georgians keep more of what they earned. The past few years, Georgia Republicans committed to a multi-year reduction of the state income tax while delivering direct relief payments for taxpayers to help combat Biden inflation. Now, after months of a study, the Georgia Senate Special Committee produced a feasible roadmap to completely eliminate the state income tax, starting with the elimination of the tax for its first $100,000 for working families. Last year, we also delivered property tax relief with continued improvement in the statewide homestead exemption. And on that note, I just want to be very clear on behalf of this caucus that as we work to strive to do bold things, we can and will do everything in our power to address property taxes and income taxes to help families. But the final bill that was passed out last year and got signed into law contained an opt-out provision that was unnecessarily exercised by too many local governments to the absolute detriment of property owners, and we're going to address that. The Senate will work to eliminate the opt-out, providing relief no matter what local jurisdiction you reside in. Owning a home is virtually synonymous also with achieving the American dream, and we want that goal to be attainable. In addition to property tax relief, we also will be very specific in tackling issues that drive up the cost of homes. That includes limiting institutional investors who gobble up single-family homes and recycle them on the Georgia rental market. Main Street Georgians can't be expected to win a bidding war with Wall Street billionaires for their dream home. Senate Republicans will also be looking to reform the permitting process for providing surety for home builders. Local governments must have a timely process eliminating bureaucratic barriers for builders, which increases supply and also decreases costs for potential home buyers. The cost of living crunch has had a detrimental impact on the quality of life that we've seen, which has been difficult on the pain of high prices and impacting Georgia being the best place to live, work, and raise a family. We will make sure Georgia's communities are safer by supporting our first responders, by cracking down on dangerous street racing. We will preserve Georgia's natural assets, water, land, wildlife, while promoting outdoor access and economic development. We will set up our next generation for success by ensuring Georgians' children have the opportunities, services, and resources they need to thrive. That means the Senate will continue to lead on the multi-effort to improve literacy in this state, building on the framework of the Senate Children and Families Committee supporting children in the foster care system, ensuring that we retain and reward our best teachers, tackling chronic absenteeism in the K-12 public education space, and placing guardrails around technology accessible to children, even if that includes artificial intelligence. My optimism does not rely on Washington, D.C. It resides here in Georgia. Its grit on local communities, the innovation of the Georgia industry, and the compassion of the people we represent across this state. Across the state, families who have felt squeezed or ignored continue to get up every single morning and do their best. They deserve a government that meets them where they're at. I believe the Senate Republicans reigniting the American Dream agenda does just that. In closing, I will return to James Truslow Adams' definition of the American Dream. Quote, "A dream of a social order in which each man and each woman shall be able to attain to the fullest stature of which they are innately capable and be recognized by others for what they are, regardless of the fictitious circumstance of birth or position." Ask yourself, whose ethos is most reflective of that sentiment? Actually, better yet, go further. Which political party makes that aspiration more attainable? I think it would be a disservice as majority leader if I did not state the obvious on behalf of our team. The insane liberal Democrat policies is what's driving prices up. 4 years of Joe Biden's crippling inflation from massive federal overspending. Millions of illegals pouring across the border, stressing our support systems. Radical environment policies driving up energy prices. Wasteful local government bureaucracy driving up the cost of homes. And there's nothing affordable about the Affordable Care Act and Obamacare. Democrats, federal, state, and local have created problems and actually have the audacity to claim that they should be the ones to actually solve those problems that they created. That's like putting the arsonist in charge of a fire department. We Republicans will be starting a fire of our own this session. We will reignite the torch that lights the path for every Georgian's pursuit of their American dream. Thank you. And with that, take a couple questions. Go ahead, Jeff.
All right, guys, so as you can hear,
Jeff,
they are taking questions right now. That was a bold beginning to the year, the plans that they have rolled out for us. And at the very end there, you heard Senator Walker say that he doesn't believe that it now should be put on the Democrats to fix what he's saying is the problems that they created, that the Republicans want to come in and just clean house. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And again, I do know that Thursday, I believe, is going to be Governor Brian Kemp's State of the State, where he'll be addressing more things that are going to go into act for us here in Georgia, us Georgians. And it's going to be really important, again, as we approach tax season. All right, still ahead. You guys have probably heard there's a new president of football for the Atlanta Falcons, and he really got to speak as part of his role for the very first time today. There was a news conference all about it. Matt Ryan is his name. We're going to be talking to our Fox 5 sports team who was actually there when all of this happened, and they got to hear a little bit more about what his plans are for our beloved boys. So we'll have more on that when we come back. Hey guys, welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Judea Murray. This is Olivia Whitmire from the Fox 5 sports team. Thanks for coming up to the digital desk. Got a lot to talk to you about.
We've had a lot to talk about the past couple of weeks. Yes.
So today we know that the president of football, new position for him, Matt Ryan, spoke for the very first time. And actually during that press conference, I loved it the way they started. Arthur and Blank addressed Matt's family directly at the kids. We actually have that sound bite. Before I ask you some questions, I want to listen into that.
Looking for, there they are. There's Sarah. How are you? Great. And boys, Johnny, Marshall, Cal, welcome today. This is an exciting day for your family. Okay. Well, you weren't here 20 years ago, were you? No, about 20 years ago, 2008, we drafted your dad, and he led us to an incredible 14 years, the best 14 years in the history of our franchise, both on the field and off the field. And then left, went on to CBS, and did an incredible job there for 3 years. So he's coming back in a very unique position, a chance to kind of relive history for us for the next 14 years. But Cal has an opinion. Okay. So we're really thrilled. I'm addressing the family, but everybody else here, all of our fans. But we couldn't be happier having Matt back in the position that he is at now, which is the president of football. Basically, that means everything between football and grass he is responsible for.
Oh, there he started in on what he's going to be responsible for. So I know they had to talk about what the plans are for him. Can you go through a little bit of what they discussed?
Yeah, we kind of went all over the place. Of course, kind of one of the most important questions is what exactly does this role entail? You know, he's now going to be heading the search for the new head coach and general manager. He's been in charge of all of those interviews that we've done so far for the head coach role. But then after that, once we get those new guys in the door, then what does this role look like for Matt Ryan? And, you know, he said, I am here to help the organization, plain and simple. He said, you know, my goal for this organization, for the Atlanta Falcons, it hasn't changed since the day I got drafted to join the Atlanta Falcons. And that's to help the organization in any way that I can and to build champions and bring championships here to the city of Atlanta.
And so also from reading that statement that was released over the weekend from Arthur and Blank, I understand that that is one of the biggest reasons why they wanted him, someone who knows the team and you know what they go through inside and out. So he seemed like the perfect person for the role. Speaking of roles, with the new head coach that they're looking for, the general manager, some names have been floated in terms of interviews. Have you heard about anyone else who's expected to talk to them?
So yeah, they've interviewed 6 guys so far confirmed for the head coach position. No general manager interviews have been conducted just yet. We're probably going to get those in the next few days, the next coming weeks and everything. They didn't necessarily say, oh, we definitely want to have this person hired by this certain date and everything, but they're trying to get these timelines similar. Of course, those 6 names that we have already interviewed, those have been confirmed by the Falcons, and anyone else, they will not confirm until after they definitely have the interview with them. But just some breaking news in the past half hour or so, Mike Tomlin from the Steelers, he is no longer with the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. So maybe that's another name to be thrown into the Falcons' hat. So of course, we'll have to wait and see if the Falcons pursue an interview with him. And then if they do interview him, maybe, but definitely a name to keep an eye on for all of the coaching vacancies in the NFL right now.
Okay, well, good to know. Thank you for keeping us up to date.
Yes, exactly. You know, a bomb drop at what time is it? 2:50? Yeah, exactly.
That's insane. Just asking, you know, is there anybody you would like to see go for the role, or anybody the sports team would like to see go for the role?
You know, we want to see whoever we think Arthur Blank and Matt Ryan think is the perfect fit for this team. And who better than Matt Ryan to kind of be looking for this search? He knows exactly what these players want and what they need and everything. And I, as someone who has been a Falcons fan for forever and now getting to cover this team, has been absolutely phenomenal. But yeah, I want someone who just fits fits the organization and everything. So we're excited to see whoever they bring in. Really excited to see Matt Ryan thrive in this new role as well.
And then, of course, whoever they do bring in, we're hoping that they bring us to the Super Bowl.
That is the hope.
Everybody's fingers are crossed for that one. Now, obviously,
Yes.
this team was really sad to see Raheem Morris, Terry Fon not go, but are we seeing some excitement in terms of who could come along and lead the team to victory?
I think absolutely we are. We haven't spoken to any of the players, you know, after they do that locker clean out and everything. We're kind of not privy to speaking with them until OTAs come around and everything. But really just with this Matt Ryan buzz, it's been absolutely phenomenal to see the excitement from the fan base and from the city to see Matty Ice return. And I think that's exactly why Arthur Blank really thinks that Matt Ryan is the perfect guy for this role. He got to speak with NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell during this process, and Commissioner Goodell said, you won't find someone better for this role than Matt Ryan because he understands all of this. He knows this team, he knows this fan base, he knows this city. And actually one of the lovely moments that I loved from Matt Ryan in this press conference, we have this sound here to play for you in just a moment, just explaining why he was so excited to come back and what this opportunity really means to him. So I think we have that soundbite from Matt Ryan to listen to now.
It's home. It really is. The people in this city have made it home. The fans of the Falcons have made it home. And the people of this organization have made it home. And to be able to come back and be a part of it, albeit in a different way, but to be a part of it is incredibly exciting for me.
We're just so excited, of course, to see Matt Ryan back, and you're seeing some clips of the old Matty Ice and Arthur Blank back during his 14-year tenure here as the Falcons quarterback, and it's just so exciting to see how excited he is to be back. He said, you know, I wasn't going to take a role like this if it was any other team, but to be with the Falcons. So I think to your point of building that excitement, of course, we don't know right now who the head coach and general manager will be, but I think with Matt Ryan back with the organization, a lot of fans are very excited about the future.
Yeah, it feels like we got the band back together.
Yes, exactly.
Olivia, you have brought us some breaking news into this hour. You also talked to us about what happened during that press conference. We got some cute moments, some lovely moments all involved. So thank you so much for coming on up and telling us everything that we need to know. A lot of people wanted to know what's happening next with the Falcons.
Of course.
We'll keep our eyes on them, you guys.
Yes.
Well, still ahead, you know, there's a lot of news that we need to cover. We got a couple more hyper-local headlines. I want to get back into what's happening right here on the grounds that could affect you. More on that when we come back. Hey guys, welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Judea Murray. We've got our 3 p.m. host up on the desk now with us, Tom Haynes.
Yeah, Judea, I know you covered it in your 2 p.m. hour, but the activity outside the United States Supreme Court intensifying this afternoon as justices are hearing arguments on the issue of banning transgender girls and women from competing in women's sports. This runs the gamut through primary, secondary schools and into universities. So it's a big decision by the justices there, and a lot of people both for and against demonstrating outside the Supreme Court this afternoon to voice their opinion on the issue. Some takeaways from the arguments that happened today. Some people saying that the justices are weighing against keeping the transgender in place among teams and banning them. So we'll have to see which way they go, but you always kind of glean some information as to what the justices are talking about. So we're covering that coming up here.
And I mean, not for nothing, but of course, most of the Supreme Court justices are conservative, and so yes, we can kind of see where they may or may not.
The court might be tilting.
Yes.
We're also going to talk to Kevin Stewart. He's standing by live right now. You know that firefighter that got injured a few weeks ago?
Yeah, she lost her leg, right?
Lost her leg and is coming out of the Shepherd Center this afternoon. Ebony Kennedy is her name, and our Kevin Stewart following that, speaking to some of her family. There's some video of her emerging from Shepherd Center this afternoon. Quite a journey that she's been on for sure. And then, you know, we're getting ready for FIFA, right?
Yes.
So a lot of artwork going up across the BeltLine. Our Chris Rosenthal is there for some of the action and how our city is coming alive before the June games come to Atlanta.
You have a full show,
yeah, we got a full docket this afternoon.
Get on out your way, but it was nice to get to touch base with you before you go ahead.
Always good to see you.
All right, you guys, we'll be right back.
Welcome to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. So glad you're with us this afternoon on what is another busy day of news for you. I'm Tom Haynes, live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. We've been following events up in Minneapolis after ICE agents confronted Renee Good and shot her to death inside her vehicle. Since then, tensions have been flaring, and no doubt that is happening once again today. Want to get out live now to senior multimedia reporter Caroline Elliott, who's on the ground there. Caroline, we understand that some tear gas is being deployed, arrests being made. What's going on there on the ground in Minneapolis? you're hearing now is sound of what's happening there on the ground. Caroline, not sure if you're with us. I know you're talking. I can kind of hear you in the background. I'm going to give you another chance to kind of weigh in here on what's happening.
Sure, Tom. If you can hear me now?
Yeah, better
now. Right now we are at a protest. Okay, great. Right now we are at a protest outside the federal building in Minneapolis that is really getting out of control in the last couple of minutes here. Right behind us, you can see a line of federal police right outside the federal building here, where we are seeing a line of protesters that have been clashing with police out here for the better part of the last hour. In the last 2 or 3 minutes here, we started to see police deploy tear gas and spray pepper balls into this crowd. After really, this crowd has been out here for the better part of the last 6 or 7 hours. And in the last 30 minutes or so, it's really gotten out of hand. We've seen a lot of people, as those DHS cars are pulling into the parking lot, coming, banging on cars, throwing things at ICE agents here. And last night, Tom, we saw a little bit of the same situation. We were seeing people throwing fireworks, videos that appear to show people throwing fireworks at federal agents at this building here. So things are really getting out of hand here. People are saying this isn't even a protest at this point. These are more so agitators. So again, really heating up right now. We'll see what happens in the next couple of minutes. But again, we will warn you, this is an active protest. This is live streaming. So I'm not sure what you're going to see or hear, but I'm going to show you what we're seeing out here, Tom.
Yeah, Caroline, looks like a pretty intense scene unfolding there on the streets of Minneapolis. This has been going on for days since that fatal confrontation with Renee Good. I'm curious, and it is still a little bit difficult to hear you understandably given the noise that's happening around you, so the louder I guess you could talk, the better. But what sparked this latest intensification there on the streets?
Yeah, so Tom, I'm going to try to talk as loud as possible so you guys can hear me. I hope you can hear me a little bit better now. But it's unclear exactly what has happened, but we have seen these protests really intensify over the last 6 or 7 days. Again, this has been about a week straight of protests we've seen here in Minneapolis, but it's certainly gotten a little bit more out of hand the last day or so. I mentioned last night those videos that appear to show people throwing fireworks at federal agents here. So again, these protests are getting a lot more intense here. We've seen people who have been out here every night. They said last night, today has certainly been more of the intense protests we've seen out here. Tom?
This all, Caroline, of course, stemming from the fact that ICE agents are on the ground in Minneapolis. They've been there for several months, but it's sort of crescendoed or culminated, if you will, with this fatal confrontation with Renee Good. Are these, and you may not know this, or you may know it, I'm not sure, are the folks out there actual residents of the Minneapolis area? Do they live there? Have you gotten a chance to talk to any of them and drill down sort of to the bottom of what the protest is all about?
Sure, Tom. So we have talked to a couple of protesters here. Some said that, yes, they were locals, but we have talked to people who said that they were from out of town. In fact, we talked to one person who said that they came here from Pennsylvania. So some of these people are out of town. But again, we have not talked to every single person out here. But from what we have seen, it looks like it's a mixed bag out here, Tom.
And Caroline, it from what I can see, just in the past 5 or 6 minutes that we've been talking to you, it seems like there's sort of an ebb and flow to when these protests intensify and then when they kind of die down a little bit.
Yeah, Tom, and we have seen some protests in the Minneapolis area. We should say that were peaceful, right? But in the last hour or so, it's certainly gotten a lot more tense out here, where, again, people are beating on these cars, these DHS cars as they're coming in. We even saw what appeared to look like a protester just ripping up the trunk of someone's car that worked for DHS. So, again, this has been very intense here. There's been a lot of back back and forth. But as you mentioned, yes, at times it is peaceful, but looks like the tactical unit is actually coming back out. So flashbang. Okay, we're gonna move actually, Tom, because we do not want to breathe this in. It looks like some tear gas and flashbang happened in the last few minutes here. Unclear as to what happened leading up to that moment. But we're just going to look and see what's happening right now, Tom.
Yeah, Caroline, you do what you need to do to stay safe, of course. I want to stay with these live pictures as long as we can because it's sort of illustrative, if you will, of what's happening there on the ground. This is definitely an inflection point after what we've been witnessing for the past couple of days when we spoke to you here at the same time on the 3 p.m. streaming hour on Fox Local yesterday. The scene wasn't so intense at all. And what a difference a day makes, I guess. You and I talked about briefly what might have sparked this intensification today, and we simply don't know. I mean, these kinds of protests, they do ebb and flow, regardless of what folks are out there protesting. This is certainly no exception. Again, the genesis of all this is the presence of ICE authorities in the state of Minnesota. The fatal confrontation with Renee Good over the weekend, the woman who sped away from ICE agents. ICE will say that she endangered their lives. Others saying that she was simply trying to flee the scene. There are two sides to that story, and it really hasn't been adjudicated yet. We've seen video of what happened with Renee Good, but that only made these protests more intense, and it brought more people out, not only, as you say, from the state of Minneapolis, but really from around the country who see Minneapolis as the example of what's happening in other parts of the country. We've had our own share of protests here in the Atlanta area, folks out on the streets all over our city. Ours, thankfully, have been peaceful up until this point, certainly not reflective of what you're seeing there on the streets of Minneapolis, but looks like those protesters are standing back. I don't see any physical interactions with those authorities, but as we're watching from your pictures, and we can see you now, authorities felt motivated to use those flashbang grenades.
Yeah, Tom, and as you mentioned, that ebb and flow, there are times where it is really tense, as you just saw, but there are also times where it is a little more peaceful here, but at this point, we've really kind of lost all sight of that, especially in the last hour. I will tell you, though, you mentioned there are two sides of this, and we will tell you that there is two definitely different groups that are seeing this a lot differently. You mentioned some of these people see this as simply self-defense, what that ICE agent did last week when he shot and killed Renee Good when she was again pulling that car towards him. But other people see this as straight up murder, and they have really that rhetoric has. Oh
watch
gosh!
It. Yeah, watch it.
All right. Whew, sorry.
Yeah,
that
no.
Rhetoric. Yes. I'm going to stand sideways so I have eyes on here. Yes. So that rhetoric though has been tough out here, right? We've seen a lot of these people calling for ICE agents to even kill themselves, and just really, really tough language again as they have been out here yelling at ICE agents for the better part of the last 7 hours or here. But as you mentioned, this is not the first day of protests. This is day 6 or 7 of protests here in Minneapolis, and as you mentioned, Tom, it's also happening all around the country.
Yeah, Caroline, be super careful out there. That car came way too close for comfort, number one. Number two, was driving way too fast through a crowd of people there. You know, not lost on this story, Caroline, is the fact that there are no local authorities out there helping in this effort to control these protesters.
We're going to, Tom, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you,
Yeah.
but we have the tactical unit coming back out here now, so we're just going to back up here, but
Go ahead.
we'll, sorry, we can stay live here with you, but just wanted to move out of the way for safety.
Yeah, we're going to watch here with you what steps these folks are taking next. They are deploying some sort of deterrent there on the street, and it looks like someone is being perhaps either questioned by authorities, some sort of interaction here going on with that red truck there.
Yeah, Tom, what it looks like is a federal officer. It looks like they have pulled over this red pickup truck. Again, my back was to the crowd, so it's unclear exactly what happened. But looks like they're surrounding the car, searching the car. We'll see what happens. But again, Tom, this is something that we've seen now for the last hour. Sorry, I think there's a little bit of tear gas. I'm breathing in something. But again, we've seen this for the last hour where there's just these tense clashes between protesters and federal police here. But looks like they just let them go. Tom.
Caroline, you're giving us amazing perspective. I'm hanging with you as long as I can. You tell me when you need to go. I know you serve other stations. What my point I was making earlier to you is that, you know, we've had our own share of protests here on the streets of Atlanta for whatever reason, and over the years. In those instances, you will see the full force of our local police authorities. In some cases, I remember going all the way back to Mayor Kasim Reed. He was out there himself talking to the protesters, telling them to calm down and to back off. That is not the case here. In fact, local authorities, even state officials there, are being obstinate in their views of ICE presence there on the ground, and they will provide zero assistance to try to control these people.
Yeah, Tom, and to that point, what we're seeing right now out here, again, federal officers, DHS officers, Border Patrol, we are not seeing any local police officers, any state police officers. And again, we mentioned some of these protests all over the city, all over Minnesota, and we're not seeing any of those local or state resources here, so that could be telling to some people. But again, we do know that there's been a lot of back and forth between locals, state, and feds as well during this investigation. Tom.
All right. Senior multimedia reporter Caroline Elliott, right in the thick of things. Caroline, we so appreciate your reporting from there. Stay safe, and we'll check back in with you, Caroline. Thanks. Clearly a breaking situation happening on the streets of Minneapolis. Thanks, Caroline. Coming back locally here to some news in our own neck of the woods, we brought you the dramatic story of a firefighter, a local firefighter from DeKalb County who got injured a few weeks ago. She lost her leg in the line of duty. She's been at the Shepherd Center trying to recover, making a valiant effort to continue her life in whatever way possible she can. She came out of Shepherd Center today. Kevin Stewart is there, watched all this happen. Kevin, what is next for Ebony Kennedy as she tries to put her life, so to speak, back together?
Right now, she says she is just focusing on healing right now. She is about to get her new prosthetic pretty soon. She's going to get fitted for that. There's some swelling on her left side where she lost her leg, and she is hoping to get the new prosthetic sometime early February. She checked out of here at the Shepherd Center around noon today in a big ceremony where she was greeted not just by family and her team of occupational therapists, but DeKalb County firefighters, her brothers and sisters there, as well as APD showing up in full force to give her a warm send-off here today. You may recall the accident, a one-truck accident off of Rock Ridge Road in DeKalb County, not far from her firehouse, took place in early December, and then she came here to the Shepherd Center just around December 22nd, I believe it was. So she's not quite been here a month, and she has done very well. We had a chance to talk to her therapist, and she said she's done great. I want you to take a listen to what Ebony had to say, as well as her chief.
This physical therapy appointment was kind of like it was like a shock to me that just a few weeks ago I was just working and, you know, living what's, I guess, a normal life, and then it's just like, how did I get here, you know? And it made me very emotional, but I had a moment and I just got through therapy and did gave it my all.
Incredible. She's been worked really hard, gone above and beyond with all of the exercises that we've asked her to do in therapy and outside of therapy, so it's been great.
I'm actually not surprised. Ebony is a very, very strong firefighter that we have. She's recently come out of the fire academy, but she was one of our best recruits, just always just very positive, very hard working. So, you know, the progress that she's made in a short amount of time, it actually does not surprise me at all.
Now, you may recall she is a rookie firefighter. I don't believe she was on the force for 6 months yet when this accident happened in early December. And she talked about going through the academy for 10 months. You may remember in our first interview several weeks ago. And she brought that up again today. She said that going through the academy, that tough work and firefighting for the time that she did really helped her develop the fortitude to get through this difficult therapy, Tom.
And one of the things I'm just taking away from the event today, and perhaps you can sort of echo this, is the outpouring of support for her coming out of Shepherd Center, where no doubt she encountered some pretty grueling rehabilitation in order to get back on her feet, so to speak, and that welcome of colleagues and both firefighters and other first responders there to not only sort of receive her as she came out of Shepherd Center, but then to wish her well on her continued road to recovery.
Yeah, she said her support is like none other. She was very glad to see the first responders across the metro, DeKalb County Fire and APD, to come out to show her a lot of love today. She was very appreciative of that. Tom?
We know what heroic work they do there at Shepherd Center. We know she was in tremendously good hands, and her future is absolutely bright. Kevin Stewart reporting live for us there on Peachtree Road outside Shepherd Center. Kevin, thanks. As we continue here on Fox Local during the 3 p.m. streaming hour, big news conference today with the new Atlanta Falcons president of football. You know who he is, our Victor Prieto on deck to tell us more about what Matt Ryan had to say after the break. Welcome back, everybody. Tom Haynes, along with Fox 5 Sports Victor Prieto. Thanks for joining us here on the 3 p.m. streaming hour on Fox Local. We got a good news story where the Falcons are concerned, and we could use some good news, frankly, after last season, Victor. The new president of football. This is a new position for the Falcons. They put a beloved figure as the figurehead of the organization now, Matt Ryan. Team owner Arthur Blank spoke today. First of all, he was, of course, very optimistic. He says he's motivated to take care of unfinished business. I don't know what that means, but and to bring in new staff and new leadership and to breathe some new wind behind this team.
Yeah, I think we all know what unfinished business means, right? Yeah. He's wanting to bring a championship here to the Falcons, to Atlanta, finish what he started when they drafted him back in 2008. Arthur Blank said it. He is one of the best players, maybe the best in franchise history, right? When Matt Ryan was the quarterback of the Falcons, Arthur Blank said today at the press conference, it was the best time for this franchise. He wants to recreate that. He wants to bring it back by bringing in Matt Ryan as president of operations, this middleman basically between Arthur Blank and the GM and head coach that they will hire. So that was basically what was discussed at length today. What is Matt Ryan going to do? At this general manager and head coaching vacancies, that's his big decision. He's coming in right now, and he's going to be the decision maker and making those hires.
2016 NFL MVP. Great decision making on the field, Matty Ice. You know, do you think that the decision making on the field as a player will translate into his management role?
I think so. I think one of the big aspects that they mentioned a lot today about why they brought him into this role is he was obviously successful in the field and what he did. Maybe he didn't win that Super Bowl, but you know, it was a great time for the came very close. Very
Tom
close.
Brady
we
had something
don't talk
else
about
planned.
28-3. But he obviously in that aspect of things, you know, he was successful, and the relationships is another thing that Matt Ryan really harped on. Was it really important? Those relationships he has in the building, where, you know, this new head coach and new GM that he brings in, they may not have that. Matt Ryan's going to be that, you know, liaison to be able to introduce these people, expedite that process of making those relationships.
You know,
happen.
we heard from Blank, Ryan today. We're going to hear in just a second from both of them. But can you imagine being a player for this organization, okay, and having Matt Ryan as the leader? Talk about somebody to look up to.
Oh, yeah. Well, Matt Ryan even joked today that he's played with some of the guys still on the team, so it's kind of funny for him to be in this position. But he was very complimentary of the roster, very young, talented team, and Matt Ryan called it home multiple times. He said he had that job at CBS, right, as an analyst. You don't really want to leave. I mean, it's a great job, right? You're getting paid, I'm sure,
tons of money
to, you know, be in this position where you're talking football day and night.
Yeah.
He said multiple times he missed the competitive aspect of being part of a team.
It's like his family.
Yeah, being in it's home. It's home. It's family. He wants to be around the guys again. He wants that aspect. Gets the juices flowing, is what he called it today. Kind of a being in that competitive environment of having wins and losses on Sunday. And here you can hear from him a little bit here about just what he had to say about coming home here.
All right, Arthur Blank first, and then we're going to hear from Matt Ryan.
Looking for, there they are. There's Sarah. How are you?
Great.
And boys, Johnny, Marshall, Cal, welcome today. It's an exciting day for your family. Okay. Well, you weren't here 20 years ago, were you? No. About 20 years ago, 2008, we drafted your dad, and he led us to an incredible 14 years, the best 14 years in the history of our franchise, both on the field and off the field. And then left, went on to CBS, and did an incredible job there for 3 years. So he's coming back in a very unique position, a chance to kind of relive history for us for the next 14 years. But Cal has an opinion. Okay. So we're really thrilled. I'm addressing the family, but everybody else here, all of our fans. But we couldn't be happier having Matt back in the position that he is at now, which is the president of football. Basically, that means everything between football and grass he is responsible for.
All right, they're the words of Arthur Blank, team owner. When I'm watching that, I'm like thinking of a father talking about a son.
Oh, you can tell their relationship is special. It's something that really means a lot to both. Very complimentary. It was really nice. So Matt Ryan's entire family, his 3 sons and his wife, were sitting front row.
So cool.
As Arthur Blank was talking to them as he saw it. It was a cool moment.
Let's listen to the prodigal son, president of football, Matt Ryan.
It's home. It really is. The people in this city have made it home. The fans of the Falcons have made it home, and the people of this organization have made it home. And to be able to come back and be a part of it, albeit in a different way, but to be a part of it is incredibly exciting for me.
By the way, can we just say how great Matt Ryan looks? I mean, talk about straight out of Central casting as the new face of the Atlanta Falcons.
He looks just like when he got into the league.
He looks rested and fresh and ready to go, and to breathe a big burst of energy into this team, exactly what it needs.
Yeah, and he's also now getting to work right away. He joked that he signed his contract Saturday. Not really joked. He declared he signed his contract Saturday. 2 hours later, he was leading an interview for a head coach. No, not even a head call. He was leading the interview of the head coach. So they're getting to work. They've done 6 interviews for head coaches over the last 3 days. This is the 4th day where they're going to do more for GM. So they're getting their work, to work.
Looking forward to see what he does with the team. Victor Prieto. Victor, thanks. Let's take you outside for a live look. Speaking of the Falcons over Mercedes-Benz Stadium, boy, talk about a gorgeous day out there today. It is exactly that, and area of cloud in the sky. A couple of them out there, but certainly chilly, but not as chilly as we've had in the past couple of days. Meteorologist Alex Forbes on set with me now. Alex, we're not going to complain about the weather today, but things are going to change here in the next few days.
That's putting it mildly. It's going to be, the roller coaster at Six Flags where you go up. We've been kind of just like up and then
just teetering up at the top there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here we go. Buckle up. You ready for this? All right. So 60 is what we've done now in Atlanta so far today. It's been a warm afternoon by January standards. 56 in Canton. This is all warmer than yesterday. 58 over in Blairsville, 61 in Hartwell, 60 in Rome, and 61 in Thomaston at this hour. And into the evening tonight, we're going to begin to slide now down into the 40s relatively quickly, right? We don't see much in the way of cloud cover out there, which means those temperatures are going to be able to cool rather quickly, going from 49 at 7 p.m. down to about 42 on our way to an overnight low temperature tonight around 41 here in Atlanta. 36 in Canton, 38 in Covington. So there's the urban heat island for you. 37 over in Eatonton tonight. Mind you, our average low is 35, so technically we will be above that mark for the overnight low. Here we go into tomorrow, rebounding into the 50s. All right, not too bad. Notice the cloud cover and some scattered showers by 6 p.m. That's going to be as temperatures begin to drop, and they're going to drop quickly. So this is my favorite graphic that's coming up next. So you've got the Atlanta Metro there on the left. You've got Northwest Georgia in the middle. That would be like Dalton, Calhoun, that area. And Northeast Georgia on the right. Your red bar is your temperature, your blue bar is your wind chill. All right, so this is 4 o'clock tomorrow. You've got temperatures in the mid-50s here in the city. Notice in Northeast Georgia, they're already beginning to fall. We'll say mid-40s with wind chills in the 30s. Now watch this, 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. Feeling like 22 here in the Atlanta Metro, 16 in Northwest Georgia, and 11 in Northeast Georgia. Mind you, that's 11 p.m., right? We've got the rest of the evening to go until we get to our coldest temperatures.
Wow.
Ooh, yeah.
So this is Wednesday into Thursday. So Wednesday after 4 p.m. is when the roller coaster heads off the cliff.
Exactly. That's when we all go to Six Flags and buckle up, right? 13 Northwest Georgia, 3 in Northeast Georgia. And now here's the thing. We'll warm up Thursday afternoon. That's it. 34 in Atlanta with a wind chill of 25. So at its warmest, Thursday afternoon, it's going to feel like the 20s for most of us in the teens across the mountains. So let's look at the same thing. This is going to be our wind chills now. This is the map. There's 7 p.m. on into the overnight. Widespread teens already. There's your single digits up in the mountains, your dark pinks. Even some single digits possible in the north side of the metro, right? Canton, Woodstock, Cumming, Gainesville. I wouldn't rule out a 9, 8, 7 degree wind chill before all is said and done And here's the kicker, right? I mentioned it earlier. Through the afternoon, that's the warmest it gets. Only into the mid-20s, mid to upper 20s for most of us and teens across the mountains. Now, we've had several, we'll call them Arctic outbreaks this year, but we've quickly warmed back up after that. We're not necessarily going to do that this week, right? We're going to cool down. We're not going to stay as cold as we're going to get, but we're not going to get back into the 50s after tomorrow. So we'll say upper 40s, another reinforcing shot of some cooler air by the time we get towards next week. There's your overnight low temperatures down into the 20s most nights, with several nights wind chills in the teens. All right, so that's the cold aspect. I think that's the thing that is going to impact everybody, right? The thing that's going to impact a handful of people is this: a chance for some wintry weather. This is going to be during that same time period as the temperatures are dropping. A brief overlap of freezing temperatures and moisture. Up to a ½ inch of snow would be possible in the mountains, with some higher amounts above 2,500 feet. That's your elevation. And a couple of flurries. You ready for this? Couple of flurries possible as far south as northern metro Atlanta. Nothing more than that. It would be just a curiosity, and that would do it for us for the metro area. That's going to be chance number one for some wintry weather. We're also watching late Friday, somewhat of a similar setup. No real impact in metro Atlanta. And you might remember yesterday, David and Doug and everybody was talking about that weekend uncertainty. I think the weekend winter weather chances, they're not zero, but they are dropping, right? We're not looking at as much moisture for this colder air to work with. So I've got a 20% chance of seeing something Saturday and Sunday, but I mean, note that Saturday morning's temperatures aren't even below
This is where everyone starts like, oh my gosh, did you hear it's going to snow this weekend?
But my weather app said.
Right, but only in certain parts of the state, certain areas might see a flurry or two.
I would say, you know, remember when we had that event in Northeast Georgia at the beginning of November, where I was up on top of Brasstown Bald.
Right.
If you saw snow then, I think you've got a chance of seeing some now.
Okay, even one of those wispy flurries.
Right. If you saw a flurry, then you have a chance of seeing a flurry.
Which drop are we going to take here off of the Six Flags roller coaster?
The one on the left.
The tallest one on the left.
Yep.
Okay, that's quite a drop.
Exactly. That's Fun Spot America. That's a good idea.
Okay,
we
Fun
use
Spot
this more
America.
whenever we talk about
cool. Good stuff. Jonathan, thanks. But I'm wondering how you missed out on going out to Lake Tahoe, where Jonathan Stacy is right now. How'd you miss out on that assignment?
The thing that most people don't know is I got off the cruise yesterday.
Okay.
So this
That's
time
right,
of
you were
year, I
cruising
think
around.
I'll take the cruise over that.
Yeah? Well, we could all use a cruise this next coming week with temps in the 20s. But while you're here, want to get out to Jonathan Stacy. He is in Lake Tahoe with Operation Sierra Storm Weather Conference. I guess this is where you guys talk about all kinds of things, what's ahead, what the future, what the climate, blah, blah, blah. All of that is happening just to kind of empower you guys with more information as you try to forecast the weather. So let's go out to Jonathan.
I just finished a couple of runs here at Heavenly Mountain Ski Resort in Lake Tahoe. This world-renowned resort sits on the state line of Nevada and California, and the season, it got off to a dismal start. October, November, and much of December, barely any snow at all. But over the past 2 weeks, the skies have opened up and the snow has fallen. More than 100 inches of snow alone, more than all of last season, just within 2 weeks. Believe it or not, the ground looked like this to a degree in North Georgia just a year ago. We were coming out of our first snowstorm in quite some time. That said, this weekend we were introduced to what could be an early start to the spring severe weather season. And yes, I'm here having fun, but I'm also learning, and I ran into a Georgia native who is not only working with snow forecasters, but he's doing quite the important work of severe weather forecasting from our backyard on his own. Andrew Brady, who is with Open Snow. Glad to have you on, Andrew. You actually grew up in Paulding County?
That's correct.
Okay, and you're still there to this day?
Yeah.
Okay, so as many people at home are aware of, we actually have gotten an early start to the spring severe weather season in North Georgia. The first full weekend or the second weekend in January, at least one confirmed tornado in Carroll County. You're a lifelong Georgia native, but it's combined with the smarts of meteorology. Tell me how things have changed in the Peach State in terms of not only severe weather, but specifically tornado activity over the past 10, 20 years.
Yeah, over the past 10 to 20 years, we've seen tornadoes across the entire area, across Alabama. Those storms form in Alabama and they move over into Georgia. Sometimes long track supercells, long track tornadoes, especially in that corridor just south of Atlanta, close to Peachtree City. There's been a hot spot of activity over the last few years.
We've seen it this past weekend and certainly during the season in 2020. 2025. That said, you likely heard me talk about open snow, and you're thinking, what is an open snow technology or an app that it is? What does it have to do with severe weather in the Southeast? But it is really your genius being combined with some of the great work that the folks are doing here out west along the ski slopes to predict just how much snow will fall from more of a recreational standpoint to something that could be almost life-changing, life-saving out in our neck of the woods. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's correct. I started working on a severe weather model called StormNet before I was with OpenSnow. I was working on my own, and then my company was acquired by OpenSnow in 2024. So I'm still working on StormNet and the severe weather and tornado products, but also working on snow forecasting and terrain bias correction data for OpenSnow.
Now, as a meteorologist, I'm really interested in that terrain bias correcting, but you're taking that, those specific instances, and also using AI. Tell me how all this comes together.
Yeah, so we're using artificial intelligence models to essentially downscale and enhance the accuracy and the precision of existing models. So existing models take an average of weather conditions over large areas, and in complex terrain, you're taking data from higher up on a mountain or the base of a mountain. And what we're doing is we're using artificial intelligence, deep learning, machine learning models in order to find out what's happening at precise points.
Really good stuff here. To mom and pop at home, bring this down to the ground level. How could this make a difference in folks like me getting a head start on forecasting, especially on potential severe weather days?
Yeah, so mom and pop, they want to know what the weather's going to be in their backyard. They don't want to know what the weather is going to be down the street, or, you know, if you're in complex terrain up on the mountain, they want to know what's happening in their backyard. So using artificial intelligence technology, we're able to get precise forecasts for specific points, such as somebody's backyard or an event someone's going to, for example. And when it comes to severe weather, we're using artificial intelligence to do something completely new, which is take a bunch of weather data and then process that down using artificial intelligence to produce tornado forecasts, severe wind forecasts, hail, and lightning forecasts.
Really good there. Precision forecast at its finest, and it continues to grow as you have more weather events occur and the more modeling becomes more sufficient using those AI plugins. All that said, we've seen an example of just how this technology is really coming alive and giving people advance warning beyond the polygons that we're used to seeing with some of our main sources through the federal government. We've seen it come to life as recently as early January. Tell me about the storm that you tracked literally from Oklahoma, produced tornadoes there, and then swept into the southeast.
Yes, we were watching StormNet predictions to tornado probabilities. We were watching them 18 to 24 hours in advance highlight a specific corridor in Oklahoma near Oklahoma City that ended up producing an EF2 tornado. And then we watched the probabilities increase as that storm system moved along through Mississippi and Alabama and even into Georgia, and we saw that with the tornado in Carroll County.
Yes, we saw it right there. We're showing your Twitter image right there that you really kind of blows your mind as a meteorologist that we're able to get that precise. Andrew Brady, once again with OpenSnow, thank you so much for the work that you continue to do, not only in our community, but really around the world, and you're making a difference in the world of weather forecasting.
Thank you.
Indeed. Whether it be severe weather or winter weather, the Fox 5 Storm Team has you covered, and I'm here learning a lot and meeting a lot of really cool people who have a lot of knowledge, and I can't wait to pass that along to you. That said, I'm only one wipe out in for this ski trip, so I'll be back out on the slopes tomorrow. A winter wonderland in North Georgia? Well, that can't be ruled out. Temperatures, after all, are going down, but as we prepare for severe weather season, we have to keep this in mind that maybe a little bit of white stuff could even happen for us. From Lake Tahoe, Jonathan Stacy, Fox 5 News.
Jonathan, looks like a beautiful scene out there in Lake Tahoe, and great information for us as we head deeper into the winter and then knock on the door of spring. Jonathan, thanks. When we come back, we got some national headlines to talk about that push to acquire Greenland by the president and the administration, a new relationship between Elon Musk and the Department of Defense, which we'll talk about. And then we're going to go out to the BeltLine. Remember I told you about, the FIFA World Cup coming to Atlanta and us putting our best foot forward in terms of our beautiful city, our arts and culture. Well, there's a great exhibit, speaking of that, out on the BeltLine, and we're going to check in with Chris Rosenthal live, who's out there to show us what they're doing when we come back. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Tom Haynes with you live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. You're watching the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. We appreciate you watching on your television at home, or if you're streaming us on your mobile app, certainly glad you're here, or on our YouTube channel at Fox 5 Atlanta. We're also on TikTok and on the radio, 107.9 HD2 FM. We're certainly glad you're listening to us this afternoon as we covered a lot of breaking news today, particularly up on the streets of Minneapolis, where some chaos broke out earlier, and we took you there live to speak with our reporter Caroline Elliott, who's been on the street using tear gas, trying to push some of those crowds back. We're continuing to monitor that situation, and we'll bring you updates as they warrant. Meantime, some other national headlines for you this afternoon. A Florida congressman introducing a bill to make Greenland the 51st state. This has been a big push by the Trump administration. Representative Randy Fine's bill would authorize the president to take such steps that would be necessary to acquire Greenland. This comes as President Trump has ramped up his calls to acquire the territory, saying it's important for national security. Later this week, a bipartisan congressional delegation is headed to Copenhagen to try to show unity between the U.S. and Denmark, something that might be a tall order given what's happened over the past couple of months. The president has reiterated his argument that the U.S. needs to take Greenland, otherwise Russia or China will do so, in comments aboard Air Force One on Sunday. He said that he'd rather make a deal for the territory, but one way or the other, we're going to have Greenland. That from the president. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth confirming that the Department of Defense will begin using Elon Musk's xAI's Grok across Pentagon systems later this month. The deployment allows both military and civilian personnel to use Grok, enabling secure handling of controlled, unclassified information within daily defense workflows. Grok will be embedded directly into operational and planning systems, supporting intelligence analysis, decision-making, and military planning. So this is an alliance between Elon Musk and the Department of War. Elon Musk, an ally of the administration, a fair-weathered friend, I guess you could say. The president and Elon Musk have had their ups and downs, but I guess they're in an up right now. The rollout designed to scale roughly nearly 3 million users across the Defense Department operations system, with the initial phase starting this month. Apple is going to rely on Google to help finish its efforts to smarten up its virtual assistant Siri and bring other artificial intelligence features to the iPhone. Apple has shown some weakness in this particular department, with Google and others outpacing the massive iPhone maker. The deal allowing Apple to tap into Google's AI technology, and it was disclosed Monday in a joint statement from the Silicon Valley powerhouses. The partnership will draw upon Google's Gemini technology to customize a suite of AI features dubbed Apple Intelligence on the iPhone and other products. Google, by the way, and I didn't know this until I delved a little deeper into this story, pays Apple more than $20 billion a year to be the preferred search engine on the iPhone and other Apple products. So they already have a very lucrative relationship, and they're just sort of extending that in the way of using Google to make Apple devices even smarter. The World Cup is going to be here before you know it, and Atlanta is putting its best foot forward to not only welcome players from around the world, but spectators who are going to be flying in from all over the place to watch these qualifying matches. One of the places that's sprucing itself up and putting our culture on display is the Atlanta BeltLine. Chris Rosenthal, who's on top of all kinds of stories like this, is out there. Chris, tell us more about this initiative.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anybody that uses the BeltLine, you know there's a lot of art on display, actually about 90 or so installations right now, and there's an open call for more artists to come in and put more art up through the year. By the time the World Cup is here, they anticipate about 18 miles of the 22-mile BeltLine will be up and running, ready to ready to welcome visitors and guests. So that art's really a great way to roll out the red carpet and show people, like you said, with the culture of this city city is about. And I am with Amina. She is with the BeltLine. And let's go for a little walk here amongst some of this art. I mean, first of all, this is one of the more famous pieces of art.
This is pretty iconic. This is Somos Americanos by the artist Art Addict, and it's a celebration of indigenous Puerto Rican and Taino culture. So a really wonderful work that we're happy that it's beloved on the BeltLine for sure.
Yeah. So tell me about this open call that you guys are having. What is this?
Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of the work that you see on the BeltLine is commissioned through an open call process. So we will post our opportunities on our website. Artists are welcome to apply. Right now we have an opportunity for our artist registry. So we just want to know who you are and what kind of work you do, whether you're a craft person or a DJ, you're welcome to submit. We will then convene community panels. So if you're a resident, if you live along the BeltLine, you're more than welcome to have a say on which work is selected.
Yeah, so is there any sort of particular artists that you're looking for, any sort of styles or mediums?
Yeah, we're looking for all of it. So whether you are either new to your career, you're a mid-level, mid-career professional, if you're an artist or a photographer or muralist, if you do three-dimensional sculpture, we're welcoming it all.
And there's about 18 miles or so of BeltLine. This art can go anywhere really along the trail.
That is the goal. That's the goal. So, by 2030, we're looking at around 22 miles of trail that's going to be completed. Right now, art is engaging around 12 miles of that BeltLine. So we are actively looking for opportunities as the trail continues to be constructed and opened to integrate art.
We're getting a lot of visitors coming.
Absolutely.
What does this mean to be able to welcome people with this art? What's the message you want to send?
We are so excited about the World Cup. This is a celebration of our community and our culture, and art is one way that we are able to let the people who come to Atlanta know exactly what our city is about. It's an expression of culture, an expression of our history, and art is one of the ways that the BeltLine is trying to let people know exactly who we are. So we're so excited to have more eyes on the BeltLine for artists to get additional exposure and opportunities to show their work.
I mean, this is, for anybody who walks down, been on the BeltLine, it is kind of like a free public evolving art museum.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think by virtue of this being such a huge infrastructure project, we've become one of the largest outdoor galleries in the South and probably at this point the country. So we're really excited about that. It's really special and unique for the city.
And you're touched on this, it's not just artists you're looking for, also the community can be involved in how this gets shaped.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So when we issue our calls, we will have a lot of artists. We can't unfortunately select it all, right? So we will bring together groups of neighborhoods and communities to select the arts that are proposed for their community so they can have a direct voice on what gets installed and what gets selected in advance. So we're not just placing art in the community without that input. So community engagement is really important to us.
Gotcha. All right. So if they want to get involved, just go to the Atlanta BeltLine website.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of our opportunities are posted.
Awesome. All right. Well, there you go, Tom. More art on the BeltLine, welcoming citizens or people as they come from around the world.
Absolutely.
It's such a creative and great idea, because think of the pipeline between Mercedes-Benz Stadium and the Atlanta BeltLine. While people are here, they're going to want to get out and enjoy and use venues like the BeltLine to exercise, take a walk, enjoy some of those restaurants near Krog Street Market where you are, and just look at some of the artistic creations by our own residents here in the Atlanta area. It's going to really come alive out there. Amina Cooper, Chris Rosenthal, guys, thanks for sharing that with us this afternoon. Appreciate it. We have some news from Morris Brown, okay? The president of Morris Brown College has been fired. Dr. Kevin James was ousted despite a contract that ran through December of 2029, we understand. He, of course, objects to this effort, and he says that he was ousted without specific cause. The termination comes just weeks before a critical accreditation reaffirmation review for the institution. Kevin James led Morris Brown in what was called a hard reset for the university. that saw the college regain its accreditation after a 20-year hiatus, which was devastating for the college. James posted on his Facebook page that the board terminated him without proving cause or a substantive explanation. He expressed concern over the decision, citing his belief that HBCUs often struggle with board overreach, but the decision has been made to oust and fire President of Morris Brown College, Dr. Kevin James. The story will continue to follow here. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the markets. The Dow Jones down this afternoon in the wake of a lot of economic news and, of course, the continued fallout of the prospect of criminal charges being leveled against the chairman of the Federal Reserve Bank. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. So glad you're with us this afternoon. I'm Tom Haynes, live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom, your host today, as I am every day at this time. The Fed Chairman Jerome Powell reacting over the weekend to criminal charges being leveled against him in the midst of the massive multi-billion-dollar renovation happening at the Federal Reserve Bank. Central bankers from around the world are now weighing in on what's happening, saying, quote, they are standing in full solidarity with Powell. This after the president dramatically escalated his confrontation with the Fed, with the Justice Department investigating and threatening those criminal charges. The dispute is about Powell's testimony to Congress back in June over the cost of that massive renovation of Federal Reserve buildings. But in a statement Sunday, Powell abandoning his previous attempt to ignore Trump's criticisms, calling the administration's threat of criminal charges pretexts in the president's campaign to seize control of U.S. interest rate policy from the Fed. Trump has repeatedly criticized Powell, calling him too late Powell, in other words, that he lowered interest rates later than the president had hoped, and the Federal Reserve for not moving faster. Economists warning that a politicized Fed will damage its credibility as an inflation fighter and likely lead investors to demand higher rates before investing in U.S. Treasuries. That has sent Wall Street teetering. You know, yesterday the news broke and a lot of folks thought that the markets would react more strongly than they did. The Dow winding up in positive territory yesterday, but not today. The Dow Jones Industrial is down over 430 points, not necessarily on news about Powell, more than things like inflation markers and other economic news that has come out this morning. All of the indexes are down. The Dow, the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ Composite Index. So hopefully some recovery will happen here in the next 3 minutes. If not, tomorrow's another day on the New York Stock Exchange. Thanks so much for joining us here for the 3 p.m. streaming hour on Fox Local. Don't go anywhere. The news continues right here, right now.